My coworkers mocked me for being fat until they saw me with the CEO. Have you ever been judged by your appearance at work? How did you deal with it? Share your experience in the comments. Your voice matters. You should stick to emails. The camera adds 10 pounds, you know. That's what one of my coworkers said during a team Zoom call. I laughed it off, like I always did. But deep down, it cut. Have you ever been judged for your appearance, even when you were putting in more effort than everyone else? Drop a comment if you've been underestimated before. And don't forget to subscribe if you believe everyone deserves respect, no matter how they look. My name is Nina. And this is a story about how I went from being mocked in the break room to walking into that same office, hand in hand with the CEO. Not what you're thinking, but even better. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and for being part of this amazing, growing community. Before we begin, I would really love to know where you're watching from. Drop your country or city in the comments. It means so much to know these stories reach people all over the world. And if you believe in showing kindness to people, please hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it. Rachel's whisper. Ugh, she's nice, but she's clearly not CEO material. Still stung days after I overheard it in the break room, my cheeks burning as I pretended not to notice. I'd forced a laugh, playing along with the office banter, but the jabs kept coming. Big girl like you should stay away from the office cake, another coworker Mark had said at a team lunch, his grin sharp as the room chuckled. I smiled, nodded, but inside I was crumbling, the weight of their words heavier than any number on a scale. I'd only been at the marketing firm 3 months, but the mockery was relentless, a daily test of how much I could take. I threw myself into my work, determined to prove them wrong. As a sales associate, I was outpacing the team, my numbers climbing higher each week, deals closed, clients secured, revenue spiking. My reports were flawless, my pitches sharp, but none of that seemed to matter. To Rachel, Mark, and the others, I was just the big girl, a punchline, not a player. During a Zoom call, Rachel's voice cut through. Nina, you should stick to emails. The camera adds 10 pounds, you know. The team laughed, their faces pixelated but smug. I forced a chuckle, my throat tight, and muted my mic to hide the shake in my voice. But my sales figures told a different story, $200,000 in new accounts that quarter, nearly double Rachel's. I kept that to myself, a quiet armor against their barbs. The open loop gnawed. Why didn't my work speak louder than their jokes? Would they ever see past my appearance? I stayed late most nights, refining proposals, chasing leads, hoping my results would shift their view. Have you ever been judged for how you look, even when you were outworking everyone? Drop a comment. I'd love to know how you pushed through. If you're new, hit subscribe. This story's about to turn. One afternoon, as I reviewed a client contract in the empty break room, a voice broke my focus. You have great instincts, Nina. I turned, startled, to find Mr. Rowan, the CEO, leaning against the counter, his suit crisp, his eyes warm but assessing. I'd seen him in boardroom meetings, commanding but approachable, a rare leader who listened. I hadn't expected him to know my name. Thanks, I said, my voice steady, despite my racing pulse. Just doing my job. He smiled, stepping closer. Why haven't I seen you in our leadership meetings? I hesitated, then let a wry smile slip. Probably because I blend in too much. No, he said, his tone firm, eyes locking onto mine. You stand out, in all the right ways. The words hit like a lifeline, cutting through months of mockery. I nodded, unsure how to respond, my mind spinning. Mr. Rowan walked away, leaving me with a mix of hope and unease. What did he see that my team didn't? And why was he noticing me now? The next week, an email from his assistant landed in my inbox. Nina, please join the leadership meeting Thursday, 10 a.m. My stomach flipped. Leadership meetings were for senior staff, not new hires like me. Rachel and Mark weren't invited, only the top performers and execs. I accepted, but the news spread fast. By lunch, Rachel's voice carried across the cubicles. Nina? Leadership? Must be a diversity quota. Mark snorted, adding, or a typo. Their laughs followed me to my desk, but I kept my head down, my sales numbers flashing in my mind like a shield. Mr. Rowan's attention became a quiet pattern. He'd stop by my desk, ask about my strategies, nod at my ideas in meetings. "You're driving real growth," he said once, loud enough for others to hear. I caught Rachel's glare, Mark's raised eyebrow, the team's whispers sharpening. Not everyone liked this shift. I felt their eyes, their resentment, but also a new strength. Mr. Rowan saw me, my work, my potential, not the caricature they'd painted. The tension coiled tighter. Why was the CEO singling me out? Was it just my numbers or something more? And how would Rachel and Mark react as I stepped into spaces they couldn't touch? The open loop pulsed. Would my team's mockery turn to something sharper, or would my work finally silence them? I walked into the next leadership meeting, my head high, Mr. Rowan's nod a quiet affirmation. I wasn't just the big girl anymore. I was Nina, and I was ready for whatever came next. The leadership meetings became my proving ground. Mr. Rowan's quiet nods and "you're driving real growth" comments fueling my confidence despite Rachel's sneers and Mark's jabs. My sales numbers, $200,000 in new accounts, outshone the team, but their whispers grew sharper, Rachel's diversity quota quip a constant echo. I felt their resentment like a current, their mockery, "big girl, stick to emails," turning colder as Mr. Rowan called me into more high-level discussions. The open loop tightened. How far would their jealousy push them? I was Nina, no longer crumbling, but the tension was a weight I couldn't ignore. Then it happened. I'd spent weeks preparing a pitch for a major client, a $500,000 account that could lock in my spot at the firm. The morning of the presentation, I logged into my laptop in the conference room, Rachel and Mark already seated, their smiles too tight. My file was gone, deleted, vanished, hours of work erased. I clicked frantically, my pulse spiking as Rachel leaned back, smirking. "You sure you saved it, Nina?" she said, her voice dripping with mock concern. "You can't be seriously thinking of leading this meeting." Mark chuckled, folding his arms. "Maybe stick to emails. Safer that way." The room spun, their eyes on me, waiting for me to crack. I could have walked out, let their sabotage win, but I saw Mr. Rowan at the head of the table, watching, his expression unreadable. I took a breath, grabbed a marker, and turned to the whiteboard. "Let's do this," I said, my voice steady. I pitched from memory, every stat, every strategy, every client need I'd memorized. My hand shook at first, but the words flowed, sharp and clear, the whiteboard filling with my vision. The client nodded, engaged, and by the end, they were sold. Rachel's smirk faded, Mark's jaw tightened, and Mr. Rowan's eyes gleamed with something like pride. I sat, my heart pounding, their silence louder than their earlier taunts. Would you have stayed or walked out if your work was sabotaged? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I need to know how you'd handle it. If you're still here, you're invested, so hit subscribe for more raw stories like this. That afternoon, an email hit the department's inbox from Mr. Rowan. "Outstanding work from Nina today." Her pitch secured a $500,000 account, setting a new standard for excellence. My phone buzzed with notifications. Coworkers, congrats, and Rachel's glaring absence from the replies. I caught her staring across the office, her face a mask of resentment. The twist of the missing file pointed to her, but I had no proof, only suspicion. The open loop widened. Would she try again, or had I proven too strong to break? Mr. Rowan's praise was a shield, but the team's hostility was a storm, and I wasn't sure what they'd do next. I was Nina, standing taller, but the fight was far from over. The sting of Rachel's sabotage, my deleted presentation, her smug, "You sure you saved it?" faded against the thrill of Mr. Rowan's email praising my whiteboard pitch that secured a $500,000 account. His words, setting a new standard for excellence, were a shield against the team's glares, Rachel's silence louder than her usual jabs. I'd proven I could rise above their games, my sales numbers towering over theirs. but the open loop of their next move pulsed. Rachel's resentment, Mark's muttered barbs, stick to emails, hinted at more to come. I was Nina, no longer the big girl they mocked, but their hostility was a storm I could feel gathering. One Friday evening, as I packed up my desk, an email from Mr. Rowan pinged my inbox, marked personal invitation. My heart skipped. Nina, I'd like you to join me at a weekend leadership retreat. Bring someone you trust. Car picks you up at 6 p.m. tomorrow. A retreat? With the CEO? I reread it, my mind racing. His attention, meetings, praise, those quiet you stand out moments, had already set me apart. But this was different, a leap into a world Rachel and Mark couldn't touch. Bring someone you trust. I thought of friends, my sister, but no one felt right. This was my moment, earned by my work, not shared. I replied, I'll come alone. Thank you. The next evening, I stood outside my apartment, dressed in a tailored blazer and skirt, nerves humming. A sleek black car pulled up, Mr. Rowan's driver at the wheel. As I slid into the back seat, I caught a glimpse of Rachel and Mark across the street, leaving a nearby cafe. Their eyes locked on me, Rachel's mouth parting, Mark's brow furrowing. As the car pulled away, I heard Mark mutter, "Who did she sleep with to get there?" Rachel's laugh was sharp, her voice carrying, "It's always the quiet ones." Their words stung, but I straightened, staring ahead. They thought they knew me, thought their whispers defined me. They were wrong. The open loop deepened. What would they do when I returned from the retreat, elevated further? And what none of them knew, what I hadn't told a soul, was that this wasn't the first time I'd met Mr. Rowan outside the office. Weeks earlier, at a client dinner I'd organized, Mr. Rowan had lingered after the others left, sipping coffee as we talked strategy. "You're not just numbers, Nina," he'd said, his voice low. "You see people, not just deals. That's rare." It wasn't flirtation, but mentorship, a recognition that felt like a lifeline. We'd met again once, at a charity event he'd invited me to, where he introduced me to execs as the future of the firm. Those moments, quiet and professional, were why he trusted me now. But to Rachel and Mark, my ride in his car was a scandal waiting to be spun. Would you seize a chance like this, even if it fueled gossip? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you're hooked, hit subscribe. These stories only get wilder. The retreat was at a lakeside lodge, a small group of execs and top performers. Mr. Rowan greeted me warmly, his handshake firm. "Glad you're here, Nina," he said. "This is where we plan the company's future. You belong in that conversation." The weekend was intense. Strategy sessions, late-night talks about vision, my ideas flowing alongside VPs twice my age. I held my own, my confidence growing, but Rachel's quiet one's jab echoed, a reminder of the office waiting back home. I posted a discreet photo on LinkedIn, a group shot, me smiling among the execs, captioned, "Learning from the best." No names, but I knew Rachel followed my profile. Let her see. By Sunday, I felt changed, not just valued, but vital. Mr. Rowan pulled me aside before I left. "You're ready for more, Nina," he said. "Expect a promotion offer next week. Lead a team. You've earned it." I nodded, my throat tight, gratitude mixing with anticipation. A promotion? That would shift everything. My role, my pay, my place above Rachel and Mark. But the tension coiled. How would they react? Would their sabotage escalate, or would they finally back off? The drive back was quiet, the city lights blurring past. I checked my phone, messages from friends, "You're killing it," but nothing from the team. Rachel's silence was loud, Mark's too. They'd seen me leave in Mr. Rowan's car, and my LinkedIn post would have hit by now. The open loop pulsed. What were they planning? And how would I walk into the office knowing I'd met the CEO outside their reach? The retreat had armed me with more than skills. It had given me power, and I was ready to use it. I stepped into my apartment, my blazer still on, and felt a shift. I wasn't the Nina who laughed off camera ads 10 pounds. I was the Nina who'd pitched from memory, who'd earned the CEO's trust, who was about to lead. Rachel and Mark thought they could break me with whispers. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The leadership retreat left me buzzing. Mr. Rowan's promise of a promotion. Lead a team, you've earned it. A fire in my chest as I returned to the city. Rachel and Marks muttered, who did she sleep with? As I'd left in his car stung, but their words couldn't touch the truth. I'd earned my place, my sales numbers and whiteboard pitch undeniable. My discreet LinkedIn post from the retreat, a group shot with execs, had surely reached Rachel's feed, her silence a storm waiting to break. The open loop of their next move, more sabotage or retreat, hung heavy, but I was ready, armed with Mr. Rowan's trust and a new sense of power. At the retreat, over coffee on the lodge's deck, Mr. Rowan had shared something that changed everything. You believed in me when I was nothing, he said, his voice low, eyes steady. I'll handle it. Your promotion stands. Team lead, effective Monday. You've earned it, Nina, long before you walked in here. I nodded, gratitude mixing with unease. Thank you, but the team, they're listening to her. Let them, he said, leaning forward. Results don't lie. You're not just a leader, you're the future of this branch. His words echoed his retreat confession. You believed in me when I was nothing, and I left his office taller, but the tension coiled tighter. Rachel's stunt wasn't over, I could feel it. The open loop widened. How would she react to my promotion? Would she back off or double down? The next morning, the office buzzed as Mr. Rowan called an all-hands meeting. I stood near the back, my blazer crisp, ignoring Rachel's glare from across the room. Mark whispered to her, their eyes darting to me. The team settled, Mr. Rowan at the front, his presence commanding. We're here to address performance and accountability, he began, his voice calm but firm. I braced myself, sensing a shift. Before he could continue, Rachel stood, her chair scraping loudly. This is a corporate environment, she snapped, her voice shrill, eyes locked on me. We deserve fairness. Nina's been getting special treatment, private meetings, retreats, promotions, while the rest of us work just as hard. It's manipulation, unprofessional. Gasps rippled through the room. Mark nodded, smirking, as coworkers shifted uncomfortably. My pulse raced, but I stayed still, my face neutral. Rachel thought she'd cornered me, her calendar stunt her trump card. Mr. Rowan's gaze turned cold, his silence heavier than her outburst. You're right, Rachel, he said, his voice like steel. We do deserve fairness, which is why I'm announcing Nina's promotion to head of strategy. The room froze. Gasps turned to murmurs, heads swiveling to me. Rachel's face drained of color, her mouth open. Mark's smirk vanished. Mr. Rowan continued, unfazed. Nina's secured $750,000 in accounts this year, more than any team combined. Her pitch last month closed a $500,000 deal despite sabotage. His eyes flicked to Rachel, who flinched. She's earned this, not through favoritism, but results. The silence was deafening, the tension thick enough to choke. I stood taller, my heart pounding, but my resolve ironclad. Rachel sank into her chair, her bravado gone. Mr. Rowan's voice softened. Fairness means rewarding talent. Nina's setting the standard. Learn from her. Have you been in a room where someone got the credit they deserved and others couldn't stand it? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to like and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. If you're new, subscribe. This drama's peaking. The meeting ended, but the fallout began. Coworkers avoided Rachel, her printout scheme now a boomerang. Lisa, the junior associate, whispered, You killed it, Nina. She's done. I smiled, but the open loop lingered. Would Rachel retaliate or slink away? And the team, would they respect me or resent me more? Mr. Rowan caught my eye as I left, his nod a quiet, You've got this. I nodded back, carrying his trust like armor. Back at my desk, I found a note slipped under my keyboard. Watch your back. No signature, but Rachel's handwriting was unmistakable. My stomach twisted, but I crumpled it, tossing it in the bin. She'd tried to break me, mockery, sabotage, now threats, and failed. My promotion wasn't just a title. It was proof I was untouchable. But the tension pulsed. What would she try next? And how would I lead a team that half hated me? I opened my laptop, drafting my first email as head of strategy, my fingers steady. 3 years ago, I'd saved Mr. Rowan's startup without knowing it. Now he was lifting me up. Rachel's outburst had only cemented my place. I was Nina, and this was my moment. Not to gloat, but to lead, no matter who tried to tear me down. Rachel's outburst in the all-hands meeting, her shrill "this is manipulation," backfired spectacularly. Mr. Rowan's announcement of my promotion to head of strategy, silencing the room and her. The gasps, the murmurs, Rachel's drained face as she sank into her chair were a turning point. Her calendar hack, her whispered "cozy much?" Notes, her sabotage of my pitch, all exposed as petty jealousy against my $750,000 in sales and undeniable results. The crumpled watch your back note I'd found on my desk was her last jab, but I was Nina, no longer the big girl they mocked. The open loop of her next move lingered, but Mr. Rowan's nod as I left the meeting was a promise. I was untouchable now. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. I stepped into my role as head of strategy, leading a team of 10, my office a corner suite with a view. The transition wasn't smooth. Mark's tight smiles, coworkers' hesitant nods showed the team's mixed feelings. But my focus was clear. Drive results, build trust, prove I belonged. What no one knew, what I'd barely processed myself, was the deeper bond behind Mr. Rowan's faith in me. It wasn't romance, as Rachel's gossip implied, but something stronger, a business alliance forged years before I even knew his name. At the retreat, he'd revealed the truth. 3 years ago, my freelance work had saved his struggling startup. "You believed in me when I was nothing," he'd said, his voice steady. I'd been a contract marketer, working nights to turn his failing campaigns around, unaware the quiet man in the corner office was Mr. Rowan, pre-CEO. He'd tracked my career, ensured my hire at this firm, and now he was giving me the platform I'd earned. He saw beyond the surface, past the camera ad's 10 pounds jabs, the break room whispers, to the woman who skipped lunches, stayed late, and delivered results. "You're not just talent, Nina," he told me after a strategy session. "Your vision. That's why you're here." The twist came quietly. 2 weeks after the meeting, Rachel was gone, transferred to a smaller branch upstate. No fanfare, no public drama, just accountability. Lisa, the junior associate, filled me in over coffee. "HR investigated the calendar hack," she said. "Her printouts violated policy. Mr. Rowan signed off on the move." I nodded, unsurprised. Rachel's desperation had undone her. Her "we deserve fairness" rant a final misstep. Mark kept his head down, his barbs silenced, the team's whispers fading as my leadership took root. "Have you shocked the people who doubted you? Drop your stories in the comments. Let's keep this real. If this moved you, hit subscribe. We're building a space where stories matter." The open loop of Rachel's fate closed, but another opened. How would I shape this role, this team, this future? I walked into meetings now, my blazer sharp, my voice steady, no flinch at the stairs. They weren't pity anymore. They were respect, earned through every late night, every closed deal, every moment I refused to break. One evening, as I finalized a new campaign, Mr. Rowan stopped by my office, his tie loosened, a rare smile softening his face. "You're settling in," he said, leaning against the doorframe. "Trying to," I said, saving my work. "The team's coming around, slowly." "They will," he said, his eyes steady. "Let them judge you, Nina. They'll never know the power you hold until it's too late." His words landed like a vow, echoing the retreat, the startup, the years of quiet faith he'd placed in me. I smiled, no longer the woman who laughed off big girl taunts. "They're learning," I said. "I'm not going anywhere." He nodded, leaving me to my work, the city lights glittering beyond my window. Rachel's transfer, the team's shifting dynamic, my promotion, they were proof of what I'd built, not just for Mr. Rowan, but for myself. I thought of the Zoom call months ago, Rachel's camera adds 10 pounds cutting deep, my forced laugh hiding the hurt. Now I led meetings she'd never touch, my name on strategies that shaped the firm's future. The team saw me, not the caricature they'd mocked, but Nina, the leader who'd outworked them all. I opened my laptop, pulling up a photo from the retreat, me among the execs, smiling, confident. I posted it to LinkedIn, captioned, "Building the future, one step at a time. No jabs, no shade, just truth." Comments rolled in, inspiring Nina, and I smiled, knowing Rachel might see it, wherever she was. She'd tried to dim me, but I'd shone brighter. The open loop of the team's loyalty remained, but I wasn't chasing their approval. I had Mr. Rowan's trust, my own strength, and a role that fit the woman I'd always been. I leaned back, the office quiet, my reflection sharp in the window. I wasn't the Nina who crumbled in the break room. I was the Nina who saved startups, led teams, and walked hand in hand with the CEO, not as a lover, but as an ally, a force. They stared now, not with pity, but with respect. I'd earned that, and no one could take it away. Have you ever shocked the people who doubted you? Let's keep this conversation going in the comments. And if this story moved you, even a little, hit that subscribe button. Let's keep building this space where real stories matter.